It is our pleasure to be joined by a Grammy nominee from Kings of Leon. He also just happened to be the best man in my wedding. He is my best man guy. He is Jared Followill. What's going on, man?
What's up, dudes? Happy to be back.
It's good to have you again. A lot's happened since we had you on the last time. You're a
whole
dad
lot.
now, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's been a while.
I didn't realize it had been that long. That's crazy. The whole world changed.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, your industry, I assume, was one of the most affected by what's gone on the last couple of years. But I do want to start with this, and we're going to get to the OU football stuff and get to our dumb music questions that we have for you. What do we need to do? Because you're on board with Formula One now. Like, we're Formula One guys. How do we get Teddy on board with us, Jay?
As somebody who's been a massive fan for coming up on 11 days now, I think that the thing there's just something that you have to do. You just kind of have to like dive in and just start watching that Netflix Drive to Survive. That's what I did. I watched one episode and didn't know if I was going to get into it. And then I binged 4 seasons in like 6 days. I do have a lot of free time though, obviously. But no, you just get sucked in. There's drama. It's obviously like super action packed. And then there's a ton of drama that they probably, they probably help that along a little bit. But it's awesome. I think you would enjoy it if you have the time for it.
Well, it sounds to me like we need to go ahead and plan Las Vegas 2023 Formula One coming to town.
Whoa.
That's going to be cool. And that may be worth going to.
Yeah. I didn't realize they were going to Vegas. I know that.
Guess they just announced it like the last couple of days, right, Gabe?
Yeah, I think it was yesterday is when they announced it.
That's awesome. I would enjoy that, I'm sure. Now I'm like looking at our schedule, our touring schedule, and seeing where we're going to be. And
the schedule doesn't matter anymore.
No.
If you have something come up, you just skip down and go.
Yeah, we can cancel shows for sporting events now, apparently.
So should we just talk about that now? Because you love OU football. Like I would say it is one of the more important things in your life.
Mm-hmm.
But Eric Church completely canceling a concert, not even rescheduling, but straight up canceling a concert to go to the Final Four to watch North Carolina. As a musician, what was kind of your reaction to that? Because to me, like as a sports guy whose job revolves around sports, I'm kind of like, that's awesome. Eric Church is just like us. But I imagine like there's a musician's point of view where you're like, what the hell, man?
Well, I kind of like have connections to him, and like I've like one of our buddies is his manager and things like that. And so I'll say that my initial thought was that's weak. I did not like it. But then as I thought about it more, I think that came from jealousy. I was just so mad that he can just do that. I didn't know you could do that. Like, we have played so many shows during playoffs, played Nashville, like during when we got beat by Clemson, and just having to come off stage and you're so just bummed out about the game, but the show was good. And then you just go through all these emotions. We never would ever have canceled a show for that, which is kind of like people will make fun of that because like we canceled because pigeon poop and stuff. But I don't think that we would have canceled for an OU game because we already would have. There's been plenty of times, but we're good about scheduling around OU football games. We try not to play on Saturdays in the fall, even though we do a lot. You just try to avoid that if you can. And then we rarely play in January, which would be when the big games really were.
Hypothetically speaking, if OU were to say, let's say play USC, perhaps here in the next couple of years in a national championship game, and you guys happen to have a concert scheduled that night, what are you doing?
Where is the show? Are we talking like New York City, Madison Square Garden, or are we talking like Akron?
Akron's perfect.
Yeah, I don't
Akron's
think we have many Akron listeners, so let's go with Akron.
Oof. There's so many things. We would just play the damn show.
I
mean,
bet it's got to be like, depending on the venue, like Akron probably doesn't have like a ton of stuff going through, but other places, like if you've booked an arena, it's probably hard to reschedule something, you know?
Yeah, and even with rescheduling, you're talking about tons of costs. Like even because he's not getting insurance for that show, but he's so rich, he just doesn't really care. But like he doesn't get paid for that show. Even if he reschedules, he'll get paid, but then he's still got all of his cruise flights to go back, all of the hotel rooms that you've got to pay for, the buses, the semis. I mean, that's a 6-figure decision, easy. And that doesn't even count that he's probably taking a private jet to the game. And I doubt he's paying for tickets, but you get the gist of the whole thing.
Wow. Well, the precedent is set. Now it's okay to do in case you guys ever want to.
No, I mean, he probably also has a lot of grace with his fans that we might not have. We've canceled a lot of shows. So we got to build that. We got to recharge our batteries a little bit before we can cancel a show for a football game.
All right, let's talk some OU football. So clearly the 2021 season for the Sooners was an interesting one. It was certainly interesting for Teddy and I kind of covering the team, clearly interesting for the players and coaches. But, from your viewpoint, like as a fan, how was the 2021 OU season for you?
It was bad. You know me, and you know the way that I watch games and how high strung and stressed out I am. And there was so much buildup. I feel like anything except for a national championship run year was probably going to be a letdown, just because there was so much good, so many positives, so many great players, and everything just kind of set up nicely, you thought. And then first game came around, Tulane won by 5, I think. Then we maybe had one blowout in there, like 76-0. You thought like we had reset and like, okay, we had one little hiccup, gonna get better. And then every game for the rest of the season felt like we won by less than a touchdown. And I'm just dying, like no fingernails, super stressed. It's not my favorite. Like a lot of people like that kind of drama. I hate it. I loved my favorite game of the season was the 76-0. Amazing.
When they played like the high school team.
Yeah. Western Carolina, maybe.
Yeah.
It was a great game.
Well, so how do you digest something like the Texas game where, you have a terrible start, everything that could have gone wrong did, you fall way behind, but then you start roaring back and have, one of the most thrilling victories, got not just OU Texas, just overall in a long time.
Yeah. It's like somebody who hates roller coasters getting on the most insane roller coaster, scariest roller coaster ever. So you hate it. And I know what I'm in for when we started inching back, and I just thought like maybe, and then you finish the roller coaster and you're like, okay, that was awesome, but never again. I did that once. I don't ever want to go through that again, but it was incredible. I mean, I don't know. There's no game that we blow somebody out, I don't care how good the team is, that I felt happier than I did after the Texas game. Like when Texas Tech was incredible and came to Norman and we kind of smoked them, or Missouri came there a few times and we smoked them. I was not as happy then as I was after the Texas game.
Yeah, Teddy and I clearly we've talked a lot about that game. It's one of our favorite, if not our favorite, college football game we've ever been at. It was just ridiculous. But okay, one thing I know about you is like you kind of choose your players on the team that you're like, those are my guys. Like those are the guys I really like. Those are the guys I'm going to root for. Who were those guys for you? Who were those guys that like you really were cheering for hard? And I know, it kind of ties back into how closely you follow recruiting as well. So who were a couple of the guys this season that you were like, those are my guys?
I'm a pretty boring fan, as in like I just kind of like follow along. I'm just like one of the sheep. So I mean, I was pulling for Caleb to come in the game. I just get frustrated easily. I'm just like one of those fans that people make fun of. That just like you have one bad game, and I get mad at coaches and stuff. Just your regular guy. So I loved when Caleb came in and did that during Texas, and you know, I pulled for him for the rest of the year, but then I found myself going like, should we put Rattler back in? I don't know. It's getting kind of, this is not great, but it weirdly felt kind of like very much like a team effort. There was no like real superstar. It felt like the defense would pull us out when we needed to, and like you'd have different wide receivers step up at different times, and running backs. So there wasn't necessarily like a Baker Mayfield on the team for me last year.
Yeah, with all the games kind of ending the way that they did, it was someone different every week kind of stepped up. So like the Caleb Williams thing, how did that land with you? The Lincoln Riley situation to USC, then all the speculation about Caleb Williams following him out there. Ultimately, that's what ends up happening. Lincoln, we didn't get OU players. We got players from the transfer portal. How did all that sit with you?
I mean, I don't even, it did not sit well. Angry, was my reaction. I thought it seemed like everybody took the easy way out. Like Lincoln kind of just took the easy way out, which is whatever. And then you had players like Caleb who could stick around and like make an absolute legend out of himself. And I mean, I guess he could do that at USC. But it seemed like the easy thing to just like go with Lincoln and go to USC and do all that. But I would have stuck around. It just even take my fandom out of OU. That's just kind of like the way that I've always been and how we've kind of been with our career. We're very loyal. And so I don't know. It just I've tried to move past it, and my therapist doesn't like to let me talk about it much anymore. But no, I did not love that whole situation. It all seemed very slimy and just not right.
But. Yeah, and then Nathan made him angry, made Lincoln Riley mad, and then somehow you got you were caught in the crossfire as an innocent bystander. What happened there?
So Lincoln followed me on Twitter, then he followed Nathan on Twitter. I DM'd him a couple of times, or he DM'd me first. I would never DM first, and said like, congrats about something. And like, we went back and forth, just like very like not super friendly, just like nice pleasantries were exchanged. And then blah, 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 all the stuff happens. He leaves. Nathan says something, calls him like a POS or something, which I thought was so ridiculous. Like, why would you do that? Tweeted it, didn't add him, but said Lincoln Riley. Lincoln obviously gets told by somebody. I wake up, he's not following Nathan, he's not following me. I guess he searched Dr. Followill, and the other Followill popped up too, because I'm young Followill. And he was just like, yeah, unfollow, which I thought was terrible because I wanted him to follow me and I wanted to stay friends with him so I could stab him in the back one day. Like, I wanted to keep that relationship going so I could invite him to a big show or something and have like maybe his wife come and they get all dressed up and get the car service and then have security tell him, nope, sorry.
You could have done like the Phil Collins thing, right? He's in the show out there and you guys sing a song about it and put the spotlight on him or whatever.
Oh my God. Yeah. Anything. But that's all out the window because now he would never trust us.
So throw some perspective on the whole situation for, I'll say me and maybe Gabe too, because I played for Coach Venables. He was my linebacker coach. I absolutely love the guy. I was upset about the USC thing or the Lincoln Riley thing for about a day. And then Venables I was like, okay, let's see what we can do here. Like, this may be a thing. And then as soon as it started feeling like he was getting the job, I was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to our program. But I'm massively biased, massively biased. So, like, what, like when that whole announcement, everything came, how did you feel?
It was a roller coaster. I'm sure it was for you guys, but I mean, for the fans and especially the rumor mill. And these days on the internet, my God, can rumors just explode and take you all different kinds of ways and you're believing stuff. Um, I loved Venables. When he was at OU, I loved him. Then, like everybody else, I thought like, man, maybe the defense isn't doing that well. And then when he left and Mike came back, I was almost kind of excited. And then I realized that maybe I'd made a massive mistake like everybody. But I remember when it happened, all of my friends who were much smarter with football than I was like, you guys are idiots. Like that was one of the best coaches you guys had. The worst mistake is letting him go. You guys should have never let him go. And I thought, who, like, they don't know. And then it became very obvious that we needed him. And so when his name popped back up, you were like, yes, love it. He's a great coach. He's going to make OU tough again, all these different things. But then they pushed it further and your ego kind of gets in there. Like, we're OU. Why can't we take Dabo Swinney? Or, you know, like one of these crazy names that was popping up, even if I think that Venables would be a better coach than Dabo. And I think that he would be better for OU for sure. But it was a roller coaster. And then you finally just settled into, okay, we got Venables. He's our guy. Excited about the future. I honestly, last year was awful for me. I would text Gabe and other buddies and just, I was in a bad place. I was not that upset that Lincoln left. Like I was already thinking like, can we put him on the hot seat? And everybody's like, no, you definitely cannot. He's been in the playoffs like 3 years out of the last 4 or whatever. But getting Venables back, I'm stoked. I think it's awesome. I'm like so excited for this year. Even if we're not amazing, even if we win 7, 8 games, I will be so happy because I know we're going to do it the right way.
So one thing that has become pretty clear, at least just from my vantage point, is that BV getting hired and, you know, saying all the things he's saying and you know, kind of operating the way that he's operating, that it's kind of reinvigorated a lot of the fan base. Like, is that how you feel? Do you feel like you're reinvested?
Absolutely. 100%. Last year, I kind of just, over the past 2 years, everything just kind of like started to wear on you. And you just kind of got not as emotionally invested in it. And, you know, like I felt like we would lose a game and I'd be like, I don't really care that much. It used to ruin my week. Now it would like, I'd be bummed out for a few hours. And then when that whole thing happened, it was like you put on your gear and you're like, come on, like this is OU. We don't get disrespected like this. Lincoln left and I was just, you know, back. It sucked me in back. Everybody, I'm texting with buddies who I haven't texted with in a long time about OU. We got Venables back and we were all stoked. And now I think that it's better for the program. I think there's going to be more people watching this year than last year. I think people are going to be more excited and way more invested. I think there's also going to be people are going to be a little bit more realistic and level-headed, and they're not just going to be calling for coaches and players when things aren't great because they're going to know what's going on. I'm so excited.
No, I think everyone is. It's cool. What's like the college football? What's the world that you live in? Is it all SEC all the time there in Nashville? What's kind of what you get?
Yeah. Yes, very much all SEC. They're very, very cocky fan base, and mainly because of the SEC, not because of their teams. Like a lot of Ole Miss fans talking down to me and Arkansas fans and these people who, I mean, they do have the SEC thing, and like they're obviously their conference was, you know, at the very top and winning all the championships, but super SEC. I feel like us joining was the best thing in the world because now I can kind of talk back to them. And now at least Arkansas fans can't say anything to me.
That's always good. Okay. Last football question I have for you. Are you still all in when it comes to recruiting? Kerry Murdoch is our good buddy. We still got the group text that rolls. Like, are you still all in on kind of keeping tabs on the OU recruiting scene?
Not as much as I used to be. I'll admit, definitely not as much. I got a little burnt out. I felt like when Lincoln was the coach, it was just like we were the ultimate bridesmaid team. Like every time there was a 5-star, like incredible guys. I mean, there was a string where we had like crazy 5-stars, but it just felt like there were so many letdowns, especially this last year. And then a few of the really great players that we did have, kind of bolted, and we filled a lot of those spots. But I'll get back in. I just kind of fell off. I got banged up in there in that emotional roller coaster we had.
Got banged up.
Ted,
you ready for some dumb music questions?
Let's get into some music. Yeah, let's do that.
All right. You were so the Grammys are on Sunday. We're going to run this Sunday night. So I'm assuming you have just won your 5th Grammy. This is, I believe, your 13th, and I'm going to be there in person to watch you win it. So can't wait. Can't wait for that, even though it's already happened. We are speaking in the future right now. But first dumb music question.
Mm-hmm.
How do you find out you are nominated for a Grammy, and what's kind of like the reaction like when you find out?
It used to be a bigger deal. Like I remember back in like 11, 12, 13, those years, it would be like a prime time thing, and they would announce all the nominees. And this year they did it over the internet, and I forgot about it. So I was at a hotel in Houston with Martha and our nanny and stuff, and I was sitting there, and I got a text like, "Congrats, dude," blah blah blah, and I was like, "Wait, what?" And I scrolled up and saw, and I was like, "Oh my God, we got nominated!" And I just told Martha and the nanny, and I felt pretty awesome that day. I was like kind of excited because we didn't get nominated for anything on our last album, so it's been like 5-7 years, I don't know, since we had our last nomination. So it felt cool. It kind of felt like we're, sort of back a little bit. It's a little validation for a lot of work that we did. So
have you guys ever played the Grammys or any of those award shows like that? I feel like that's got to be such a for lack of a better phrase, a pain in the ass to play one of those things because it's not your normal setup. There's probably a whole bunch of different type of planning involved.
No, it is very tough, and so we've always declined. It's every time that they've asked us to do it, it's like us and another artist, a collaboration kind of thing, and we're so bad at that. Like we know how to play our songs, and that's basically it. And we're also just kind of lazy, and like you said, so like when they ask us to do that, and it's like us and I don't think it was Rihanna, but just say like us and Rihanna or something. We're just like, that sounds like a lot of work.
So forced.
Yeah, we just go. We'd rather be able to drink and not have to be really nervous about it. But we've done like the VMAs and a few things like that where it's like similar but on a smaller scale. But that was just ourselves playing. But yeah, we've never done it. And honestly, it's in the back of my mind that maybe they dislike us for that. And that's why we've only had 2 categories ever televised. They always do pre-televised for us in our categories.
Interesting.
Ted loves a conspiracy.
I
So
do.
now
do.
now you're going to have him diving into that. So I could be making this up, but did you guys get asked to play the Super Bowl one time?
No. There's been talks about it, and we've shut them down on our management side. And this is back like when we were like, obviously it would have made a lot more sense like 2010, 11, 12 when like You, Somebody, Sex on Fire were like everywhere. And but we would be so bad. And so like everybody critiques the Super Bowl halftime like no other musical event on earth. It always gets you can believe it, shat upon. by almost everybody, except for, a few years are incredible. This year was awesome. I actually really liked The Weeknd last year, but so many times it's just everybody's just like, oh God, did you see that? It was so bad. In the stadium, you can't even hear it. It's awful. I've been to Super Bowl and I went to the one with Maroon 5 and you could not hear a thing. So, I mean, everybody was just kind of chilling, and I'm sure that show was great. I didn't get to see it because I didn't have it on TV. But it is the most stressful situation in the world. We are not a very entertaining band. We're kind of, our live show is kind of known for the music aspect. So like you can kind of like vibe out to the music and listen to the parts and things like that. We are not running around the stage. Caleb does not talk ever. So, I mean, it would just be a nightmare. We would have everybody. I mean, we would be pulling out every single favor we could of any artist in the world to come help us out. We'd
That's so funny.
Play all covers.
So that makes me think, because, you're talking about, playing the Super Bowl halftime and you're there for 100,000 people, and it's like a made for television type of deal. So like probably you probably can't hear yourself very good. It's probably hard to play. And I was just thinking, like, have you ever had like a major malfunction while you're playing? And what do you do when something like that happens?
It happens a lot, and it happens a lot more to bands like us who kind of rely more on actually playing, not a lot of computer tracks or anything like that. So we're like we're playing with our guitar plugged into our amp, and there's, if any of those things mess up, you're kind of just stuck. It's been, you feel naked and humiliated. I can't imagine. It's probably like if your helmet fell off at the very beginning of a play and you just have to like finish because
The
you
rest
have
of the
to
game, or
that you have to finish the song, and you're just you only have to finish one song because they'll stop after that song, and like Caleb will be like, sorry, and that's probably all he says is just sorry. Nothing else, like no. And then like your crew comes up and they'll be fidgeting and doing things, but for that song you just have to just chill, and just be like, I'm sorry, I don't know what to do. It never really happened so bad that everybody stopped, but it's awful. It's a really scary, naked feeling. It just happened the last show we played. We have a song called Closer that I use a foot pedal on, and halfway through it just malfunctioned and started making a funky noise, and I just had to stop, and they just finished the song without me. But I didn't know what to do, and I was really awkward, so I just kept doing the foot pedal thing, even though it wasn't working. Just hoping that maybe Brent like had his mouth out there doing it, for that's our sound guy, going whoop, whoop, whoop. Like is anybody covering for me here? Because I'm dying. Fish out of the road.
See, like I have no knowledge of any of that stuff, so that's awesome. Okay, I do want to ask you about the Bandit, because that's what you're nominated for the Grammy for best rock song. How, like, when you write a song like that, do you know that it's really good? Like, is there a story behind that song? Like, right after you guys put it together, where you like, that's going to be big? Like, how does that all work?
Yeah, with a lot of our bigger songs, they seem to come at the end of the album for some reason. And so we had gotten together like 10 songs and recorded them. And then at the end, we just try to throw something together just to see if anything can kind of stick, and just like take some raw, like quick energy. And so we had kicked that around as a kind of a guitar idea to start. And then musically, we got something together, and it was exciting. But we had like a week left in the studio. And one of those days, Caleb and I had to miss because we were flying to London to go to a 50th birthday of like an extremely powerful, incredible person on earth.
That's not sketchy. It's just an extremely powerful, awesome person.
Yeah, it was crazy. So like he sent us his plane to fly us to this party in London. And so and he offered it to everybody, and me and Caleb were like, we got to do that. Like, we can't miss it. It was like medieval, and we had to have like a couple of formal medieval outfits and one casual medieval. So I mean, it's this wild.
Where do you go to shop for a casual medieval outfit?
I went to like an actors that do like movies and stuff like that, and I found some pretty like impressive stuff. It's awesome. So long story short story long, we fly there. We had a crazy time, very hungover. Me and Caleb get back on the flight home, and he's like, we can't just go back in empty-handed. He's like, let's start writing on a couple of these songs. We had 2 left. We had 2 musical songs, and it was a song called Time in Disguise and a song called The Bandit. And so we opened a bottle of red wine and then started playing around with it, and then a couple more. And then I think we had like 8 or 9 bottles of red wine on that flight and landed and had finished both those songs. Basically, Caleb went back in and touched up things for sure, but we had basically written both of those songs and it stuck with it. And I'm still not sure if we have to give that guy publishing for writing it on his plane and drinking his wine. But
little medieval influence on the song. That's awesome. Yeah. Is every song kind of come together different, or do you guys have a pretty standard process that you follow as far as like how you structure it and everything?
We have kind of fallen into a groove of starting with music, getting together a musical idea, then vocal melodies, and then writing the lyrics. So the vocal melodies will just be kind of like little words here and there, just like kind of phrases, but a lot of times it can literally just be like mumbling or gibberish, just like ooh la las and stuff like that, just getting the vocal melody down. And then lyrics come last. And forever it was just Caleb writing those. And then lately, the last couple albums, and especially this last album, he kind of let us in a little bit and like letting me write with him. And so, yeah, it was a cool experience getting to actually get in on the lyrics this time. And it's up for best rock song. So Caleb, hello.
So I'm just saying,
solo project coming
is, and I know that, I mean, you know, a lot of musicians and a lot of groups, like, is that how it normally goes? You write the music and then the lyrics last, or is it, because I would, and once again, I know nothing about music, but I would think like, hey, you write the lyrics and then like you write the music around the lyrics. But
yeah, it's probably the lowest percentage way to write a song. Most, like Elton John has a lyricist who will give him the lyrics. I never watched the movie, so you guys could be like, yeah, we saw the movie. But like his guy gives him lyrics and then he'll just write a melody to it. So it's like he's reading a script and then makes a melody around the lyrics, which to me sounds impossible, just with phrasing and things like that. And the cadence of how I don't know how he pulls it off, but I would say most people do sit down with probably just a guitar and like they have something they want to say and then they like write that. And a lot of people probably do lyrics first. We're a weird band.
Do you probably have a cell phone totally full of like bass lines or whatever it is, like just quick little, do you guys send those back and forth to each other all the time?
No, I don't send them because I'm humiliated by them. A lot of times it'll be like me mouthing a bass line, like boom,
yeah.
Boom. It's like ridiculous. Or even singing, and I have a terrible singing voice. And guitar stuff. So I don't have the confidence to send them, but I do, you know, I record, I've got a billion voice memos. You're right on that. And I'll like, just so I can remember. And then I'll bring those into the guys and actually play them for them. But yeah, my voice memos are a mess.
I have another Grammys question. How much thought goes into what you're going to wear at the show?
More thought than actual action. Because like I thought about this forever and like had a vision of what I was gonna do. And then I just, as time gets closer, I just don't do any of that stuff. So I have a suit. I went and got it tailored. I don't know what I'm wearing under it. I don't have shoes. And I'm going to go to Vegas and just go shopping and put some stuff together. Because I have a pair of shoes that I was going to wear, a brown pair of like dress shoes, and the bottom of them started doing that on the front. So those are broken.
Had him
So
for a while, apparently.
I wore them to like 23 weddings in a row. And I dance a lot at those things. So, so yeah, I've thought about it a lot, and I just am not going to use any of the thoughts or any of the ideas that I came up with, but it'll be fine. I kind of don't care at this point, like we're not, as long as you don't, and I think we've talked about this, maybe you said, as long as you don't look stupid, nobody cares. Like nobody, I'm not going to go there and like blow anybody's mind. I'm like a 35-year-old guy now. They care about like the kids from Euphoria going like, now that's a cool look. Like there's nothing I could do except for bad. The only way I'm getting noticed is
don't stick out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just try and blend in as much as possible.
Yeah, probably put a sweater under the suit and I'll probably wear shoes.
Thinking about, maybe not.
Has anything, well, because we're coming right off of the Oscars where we had a situation. Have you ever seen something go down that like maybe doesn't make it to television or in the back or at a after party or whatever?
I'm sure we've seen tons of stuff, but like that was the biggest thing that I remember since the VMAs in 2009 when Kanye got up with Taylor Swift. And we were there and we were sitting right behind Kanye, and Taylor was our bud from Nashville, and we all hung out and we went backstage with her afterwards. And so like we were very much involved in that. Like people from our crew were like yelling, like saying like, get off the stage, and like getting very upset with that whole thing. In hindsight, it was damn innocent. I didn't know that you could like, there could be physical violence on stage. So like looking back at the time, it was like, that was the biggest thing in the world. You're like, oh my God, how does that happen? And now you look back at it and you're like, he just grabbed the mic. Like if Will Smith had just grabbed the mic, nobody would have cared, or if he just like heckled from the crowd. So, but
and he's also Kanye's had a decade of stuff afterwards to where it's all like, it just kind of all fits right in now,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's just Kanye. Who cares?
Okay, this is kind of the last music question I have for you, and it's very broad, and I know it is, but these last 2 years have been pretty weird for everyone. But I assume when a big part of what you do for a living is going and playing shows for giant crowds, that it has been especially weird for musicians, including yourself. Just what has that been like over these last couple of years?
It's been weird and frustrating, and like, I mean, obviously weird. It's weird for everybody, but it was just like frustrating and nerve-wracking, and you didn't know what to do. If you don't play shows, are people going to think that you're doing the wrong thing? And like, if you do, are you doing the wrong thing? Are you being unsafe? It's like, are you being unfair to your fans by not playing, or are you being unfair to your fans by playing? And so like all these different things, and then it was just scheduling things, and you had no idea. So you block out months of your life, and then they get canceled. And then you're like, well, there goes that, and too late to make really other plans. So there's a lot of sitting around. And you guys, I think last time I was on here, I talked about like I'd moved to this weird golf community, and so that's where I live now. And so I just like played golf and sat around, and we didn't take advantage of it at all, because we thought it was going to last a month, and then 2 months, and then maybe this could last 6 months, and then a year. And then it was like, this might never end, So I think if everybody had known going in, okay, you're basically going to have a year and a half of just like off. We could have like done something really cool with it, but we didn't. We played golf.
There's something really cool about that. Get caught up on your golf game a little bit. you know. But
Really.
so how long were you guys actually? How long was it between like performing, and was there some of that? Like I'm sure there's always a little bit of the butterflies type of stuff whenever you're going out in front of a bunch of people, but whenever you finally did go back out, was it like kind of feel like the first time again? It'd been so long.
Yeah, so we played Oklahoma City, Scissortail Park at the end-ish of 2019. I think it was the end of September because wedding anniversary. So we played that, and then we didn't play another show until like August of 2021. And Matthew, our guitar player, was having a baby, so he wasn't on there. So it was kind of a different setup, a different stage thing. Between the shows, so Oklahoma City was a full band concert, last one we did. And then in March, we just played a concert in Bahrain, which is it's Saudi Arabia, basically. And that was a full band show. So between March of 2022 and September of 2019, we played 0, like full band, full setup, Kings of Leon shows. It was a long, long time.
Yeah. It was a weird time.
Yeah. And we didn't get that much worse.
I love you. I hope we get to celebrate a Grammy victory for you and the boys in Vegas. Fingers are crossed.
Not gonna happen. I'll just go ahead and say now, this is coming out on Sunday night. It was an honor to be nominated.
You're the best, man. Thanks for the time. And yeah, 5-time Grammy award winner. Wait, 5-time. Yeah, let's speak it into existence. Come on. What's the worst that happens is you don't win and then I look stupid. I mean, what's new?
Yeah, that's okay. I believe, but it's not going to happen.
You're the man. Thanks.
Thanks, guys. That was awesome.